What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Deep Dig of Sports Pod. I'm your host, Drew, with my other host right next to me in person.
Literally right next to you. What's up? It's D.
Yeah, guys, I'm just back here visiting. Didn't bring my mic, so we're doing this, sharing the mic right here.
Yeah, it's an ad hoc experience, but it's real intimate. You're right here with us. We're speaking right into your earlobes. So, or
we're
eardrums.
Doing our second channel that's ASMR right after this.
Hey, little mama, let me whisper in your ear.
But no, we don't have that. Don't put that on wax. People are gonna look for it. But we will put on wax our takes for the 49ers Chargers game that just happened. What were your immediate takeaways for that game?
Immediate takeaways. I was wrong. So I'm gonna go ahead and admit I was wrong. So I really thought that the offense was going to be this juggernaut coming off the bye week. We actually did get that bet right as far as the 49ers scoring on their first drive, but there were some struggles there. I think you kind of had spoke about it before, like, hey, like Kyle Shanahan's a little too conservative. And that was like what I seen. Like there was just no way to really capitalize on what seemed to be a depleted Chargers defense. And it was a little disappointing. It felt like they just didn't really like find their groove, especially coming off the week previous where it felt like, hey, like that last game, like people were excited. They were amped. It felt like, hey, going into this bye week, Kyle's going to go back into the lab and really cook something up. And it just didn't happen, you know?
Yeah, no, I was skeptical all week. And me and you were going back and forth on this. And I was just saying how you've kind of fell into the Kyle Shanahan trap of his routine, like does something amazing and then he goes back and he's too conservative and it's really a letdown game, and then he's kind of muddling through these next couple games until the next amazing game, and then everyone's like, okay, he's a genius.
Yeah, back at it again.
Yeah, and I was like, guys, this is a prime Kyle Shanahan letdown game where he's not calling a great offensive game. And for me, there was no excuse this game for Kyle to not put up 30 plus points. Yeah. He has unlimited pieces on offense. They're even still thinking about adding OBJ. Like, how much more do we really need for this offense? It has everything we could possibly need, but we're still struggling to put up points. And yeah, we got the win, but this was a Chargers team that was poorly coached. Both their starting receivers were hurt. Defense banged up. That's not that great.
Yeah.
And Justin Herbert, yeah, he's very talented, but I mean, he hasn't led his team to playoffs. He looked good against us though for a good amount of that game. But yeah, we should have won that game easily, and it's kind of bittersweet the way we won it.
Yeah, and I think like an ugly win is still a win. So grateful for that. You take your win, you leave, and you look forward to the next one. The next one is going to be a really important game. It's in the NFC West. So Monday Night Football, Mexico City at Mexico City against the Cardinals. I think that's a huge game moving forward. So hopefully it's one of those get right games. We know Kyle Shanahan, you're talking about the cycle of Shanahan. This seems like one of those games where he has to step up. You know what I mean? We have to get the offense right at some point. We have to start to find a rhythm. And whether that be with Elijah Mitchell in the backfield, whether that be with Christian McCaffrey or a combination of the two, like either way, something needs to happen to where Shanahan rights this ship. And it's not anything to do with anybody else. Honestly, if Jimmy was playing bad, I would blame it on Jimmy Garoppolo, but he hasn't even allowed Jimmy to showcase what he can do, whether that be fuck it up or actually going out there and being serviceable. He hasn't allowed Jimmy Garoppolo that opportunity. And so I think that's also on Kyle Shanahan,
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say the offense has struggled all year, the Kyle Shanahan offense. And moving forward, we can't drop any of these games. I know you feel more secure about the playoff security for this team.
Yeah.
I'm a little more skeptic just because there's only so many wildcard spots. If we somehow don't beat the Seahawks and we lose out on the division, I mean, the Eagles, Giants, and Cowboys are all, as far as I'm concerned, those teams are in the playoffs already because of the amount of wins they've accumulated. And then you look at around the league, if the Packers somehow pull it together and like make a push at the end, they're there. Atlanta plays a bad division. They already have a good amount of wins, and Tampa Bay I expect to win that division. Uh, Washington is a team that is rolling right now, 4-1 in the last 5. And then you never know, if we drop 2 games to the Cardinals, they can leapfrog us in for that position. So a little bit shaky ground for me for the wild card spot, and we really need Kyle Shanahan to at least make this offense serviceable, because once we get into these like later weeks, that's basically playoff football already, because you're playing for your spot in the playoffs, and it's going to be tough to do it with just a defense and no offense, especially with so many star players we have.
Yeah, and you're 100% right. There is no excuse for Kyle Shanahan moving forward. This offense needs to get their shit into gear. And we even said it during the bye week. You can't continue to pile onto this defense that is. They're playing without Eric Armstead. They're playing without Javon Kinlaw. Like, just that defensive line rotation is what we were kind of counting on moving forward. And then think about, you lost Jason Verrett. You are Emmanuel Mosley's gone for the rest of the season. You're really, counting on Diamador Lenore, and then you drop down Jimmy Ward into that slot spot, and now you're trusting Tashawn Gibson, who, he's been serviceable, but it only takes one game to get you out of this league and to get you out of that playoff picture. And so how much longer are we going to be able to like stay serviceable with that lineup? So that's just one thing I'm concerned about as far as like moving forward and looking at the playoff picture. Yeah, we could be like one game away from, out of it, but we could be one game away from leading this division. And we do have that Seattle Seahawks game coming up. I believe it's week 14. So that's going to be a really important one. And I think that's very doable. I think looking forward at the rest of the season, 2 Cardinals games, one more Seattle game. We have the Dolphins, the Bucks, and the Commanders, which if you're going to be at the Commanders game, hit us up. We're both going to be there.
We're going
What's
to the game.
up?
I'll be in the Bay all weekend. I think you'll be in the Bay all weekend.
So let us know. Let's spend this game together. But yeah, that's going to be a good game. That's again, it's going to be for playoff contention. So I think these are all doable games. As I've been saying the last few weeks, it's all doom and gloom until you win a couple, and then you're like, oh shit, we're actually in the driver's seat and we control our destiny. So I think that's what it's going to be moving forward. I think ugly wins are good wins, but I'd prefer to blow people out and get this train rolling for a good, deep playoff run.
Yeah, I don't want to see any more of these like 15-yard field goals. We just saw it this game. You're relying heavily on your defense to get you to that finish line, and then Dre Greenlaw gets some bullshit and gets ejected, and you never know when something could go wrong against your defense like that. And it doesn't even matter what they're doing in their play. They get a bad flag, ejection, injury, especially with this defense, and you're just going to be putting up field goal after field goal and expect to win these big games. Like, it may work against the Chargers in this week, but moving forward, we can't be relying on that. Like, the Greenlaw play, I don't know, man. Like, was it worth an ejection?
In my personal opinion, no. I could see them throwing out the flag because, again, there is bias that it is a quarterback. It's not just a quarterback. It's one of the up-and-coming star quarterbacks in this league. So you got to protect the guy. So I understand throwing the flag, but to say it was like an egregious penalty that deserved Dre Greenlaw to be booted out of the game, it's kind of bullshit, dude. I think that, yes, it was warranted for the flag just for flag's sake, but to kick him out of the game, no, that I don't think, especially the way Justin Herbert was already going forward. If he doesn't get hit from the back and get pushed forward, Dre Greenlaw just blows him up, hits him in the chest. And that's exactly where he was going to. I don't think he was leading with the crown of his helmet. He didn't launch at his head or anything like that. So I thought it was, you know what I mean, just an incidental contact. And yeah, you could throw the flag for that because it's Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I think you can measure the intent behind the hit. Like, he wasn't trying to go helmet to helmet and really hurt the guy, but it is what it is. A lot of bad roughing the passer and personal fouls this year going on like that. Like, earlier in the year, the Tom Brady one where they kind of just threw him down, that was a flag.
Yeah.
Was it the Bucks too, where he like knocked the ball down and like fell on top of Derek Carr or something? They called that a flag. And then even this week, Taylor Heineke kind of going to a knee and getting hit by the Eagles, and like that really helped them out. And that one I think was kind of fair. It was by rule of flag because he was giving himself up. But yeah, a lot of they got to clean this up next year. Something in the offseason. They got to figure out, can we even breathe on quarterbacks at all, because it's making it harder and harder for them, for defensive players to play a game of football.
Not only that, it's just like a wacky year. Like it just seems like with all the parity in the league, like if you look at everyone else's schedule and like, or even just the 49ers schedule moving forward, there's a lot of teams in that like 3, 4, 5 win window. And it's like, oh, okay, like what's going on here? Like what's really happening? And even then, like to get a little bit weirder, like the coaching. The coaching is so weird. Like coaches that we thought were good are struggling. Coaches that we thought were going to be like god awful and trash. Like I thought Dable was really going to struggle. He came out of the gates hot and he's looking like they're going to be in playoff contention. Like it's just a weird year for the NFL in general.
Jeff Saturday for coach of the year. He's undefeated.
Dude, yo, the Colts just put the cherry on top as far as the like revenge game. That was like, hey, the perfect fuck you for leaving us at the altar. Josh, we're always going to hate you, but we're going to, just so you know, this game was personal. This was a totally personal game.
I want to start a Raiders podcast just to always talk about how dysfunctional and bad they are as a team. It's getting so crazy. I never thought that they would be this bad when they traded for Devontae Adams. Like the offense is loaded, the defense is solid, they have stars everywhere, and they can't put together wins. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of wild.
Bro, I just hope, knock on wood, that we never get so poor as a podcast that we can't afford to fire one another.
Dude, they couldn't give McDaniels the money if they wanted to right now.
Yeah, it's that's how bad it is. They have to keep this guy because they can't.
It's like contradicting, because they're like, oh, we're just gonna trust the process and let him build it. This was not a rebuild.
No,
this was a Super Bowl or bust type team that was like, we're gonna get this guy to put us over the top. And now they're like, guys, trust the process. We're gonna build this thing up. Bro, you paid everyone, and like it's built. It's there.
It was a hot pocket of a team. All you had to do was hit the buttons, press start, and let it run. And he managed to fuck that up, dude. I don't know how he did it.
You don't keep an eye on the microwave, it will ruin your hot pocket pretty easily.
That's what's happening with the Raiders right now. So, I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, what else we got?
So Christian McCaffrey is obviously huge name. Everyone loves the guy. I know you've seen they went to the Warriors game.
Oh, dude. Jimmy, all the cheerleaders went up to Jimmy. Did you see that?
Yeah, Jimmy, Kittle, Hughescheck, and McCaffrey have been hanging out nonstop, which I don't know. I think it's cool that they're all together, but also they never hang out with Debo or Ayuk.
Debo and Ayuk always hang out with Trent. So I think they just have their own clique.
Yeah. But in this game, we really thought, like, you can look at the Vegas betting lines where McCaffrey was projected for like 84 yards. He was guaranteed a touchdown basically by the betting odds.
He did get one,
but it was more like if multiple touchdowns would have been like, oh yeah, that makes sense for him,
Yeah.
So they're putting a lot of stock into this guy, and Kyle Shanahan just showed that he doesn't care. He ran Elijah Mitchell 18 times.
Yeah. And I think too, it was more of the like, hey, I'm gonna play the hot hand here. Elijah Mitchell was like just tearing it up. He was getting like a good 6 or 7 yards on some runs, really breaking out. But I think again, it's Kyle Shanahan's play calling, because he would run Elijah Mitchell 2 or 3 times in a row, and then he'd put Christian McCaffrey in there and run the same exact play that he was running for Elijah Mitchell. And of course, if you're defensive, you've seen it 3 or 4 times in a row. All you do is change out one guy for another, and you run the same play. Like, okay, I'm going to be able to stop it. You know what I mean? So I think that's what it is. And like Kyle needs to, one, stop throwing that quick screen. It's not working right now. Like it just wasn't working. So like, why do you keep harping down on that? And 2, you can't run the same play 6 or 7 times in a row and expect to have that same result of 8, 9 yards every single time.
Yeah, it's almost as like Kyle's trying to become a little too reliant on these. They're great after the catch runners, but they can't take it to the house every time when that's all you expect them to do. We need to, mix up the run calls. We need to throw a little bit more downfield. And why in the red zone is Christian McCaffrey not on the field? Any
Yes.
red zone package should have Christian McCaffrey over Elijah Mitchell. He's just a threat to score on so many different levels. And not knocking Elijah Mitchell, he is good there, but this is what McCaffrey in his stage of his career is perfect for. And I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing Elijah Mitchell got a lot of carries. I think a lot of people are forgetting how good Elijah Mitchell is as a running back.
Yes.
He broke the 49ers rookie rushing record.
He would have had 1,000 if he had played more games, if he had that opportunity earlier.
Yeah. And he's a great runner. I like that we have that 1-2 punch, but I think Kyle needs to figure out how to actually utilize these guys together. It's like, hey, we gave you all these great ingredients, Kyle. And now are you going to like make me something basic, or are you going to make like a 5-course meal? And right now we're getting Denny's, we're getting Chili's dinner. We want some Gordon Ramsay up in there. We need to start cooking.
Yeah. And I think too, like, this might be something that kind of plays into Kyle's mind is, hey, well, you know what? I know Christian McCaffrey has a lot of mileage on him. If I could save him for later on in the year, maybe I'm going to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I utilized Christian last game. He did really well. He actually was the entire offense, though. So I know I need to pull back the reins, especially because this guy has he has so many miles on him. You know what I mean? There's a lot of miles. There's a lot of injury. There was a lot of pressure on Christian McCaffrey in Carolina. So maybe Kyle sees that and he's like, hey, you know what? I got to save something, because once we get down the stretch, like, I need this guy to perform, but you can't have that happen.
My thing with that point is, though, if he is trying to save them, then don't do it the way you're doing it. Like, and I'm trying to save Christian McCaffrey by running the shit out of Elijah Mitchell and not really involving other people in the offense. Like, we have Kittle there, who in the receiving game did nothing. Absolutely,
he had one catch, right?
He had one catch. Like, come on. Like, Ayuk is doing good. Debo, we can get him more involved in the passing game. And Kyle, at what point are we just gonna are you just gonna commit to putting Juwan Jennings on the field? The guy is a fucking dog. We've been on him all year. He's always hitting his over. He is so good. And Kyle just seems to be like, I want to mix in Ray Ray. I want to do this. Like,
which Ray Ray did have a really good catch. Like, can't knock it. Like, I like what Ray Ray does, but if it means at the expense of what Juwan Jennings does, I'd much rather have Juwan Jennings as the threat. Just because he fits with what, again, we've talked about it. Like, subscribe, comment, do all this shit. But we've been on Juwan Jennings. I've already said for multiple times, so you can go back into these videos.
Yeah,
but
check our Diamond Picks of the Week videos, because
we are riding him like
Juwan Jennings is gold when you want to win a bet.
Yes. So yeah, I think he does need to like switch it up, and it can't be the 2-step drop. Or not even the turn and throw screen. That's done. That's played out. We got to run some routes, and we have the talent to run routes. Why are we not doing that?
And we even seeing instances where Jimmy is even missing on some of these quick throws. He's like handing it off, or he's throwing it when he shouldn't be. And these RPOs are starting to be like, yeah, we get these all 22 tape breakdown people that always complain right after every 49ers game. But I did watch some of those things, and it's like, okay, there are plays where Jimmy is making the wrong read on an RPO. So, I mean, if we need to start limiting him on that, like, that's what we do in our offense. Like, yeah. So what are we really doing here? Like, Kyle, what do you think our identity is as an offense?
Defense.
As an offense.
As an offense, it's play safe, and then hope a playmaker breaks a big play. Like, because
we don't have anything that, like, every week, me and you, when we do our Diamond Pick of the Week, because we did win 5 weeks in a row. This week was, I'd say it was a half win, because we won one bet and we didn't win on all of them.
I would go ahead and say we got to restart. We got to refresh.
Yeah. Just for fairness sake,
check it out.
But in that segment where we talk about, like, oh, what the lines could be, what the yardages could be, scoring. I feel like we never feel safe betting on a 49ers offense because we don't know what to expect. Kyle Shanahan's offense is so inconsistent this year, and we don't know if they're going to be throwing downfield to Ayuk, running it a lot with Debo, running a lot with McCaffrey now, running with Elijah Mitchell. Is Kittle going to be there anywhere? And it's crazy how many weapons we've given this guy, and now we still don't know, like, is the offense good?
As of right now, it's not.
It's not.
It's not. So let's
Or
go ahead and
even
say that.
what is their bread and butter? Like, they're not, Debo's not breaking for 80 yards like this year, like he was last year.
Yeah, well, I don't think he's given a fair chance. Like, do you see when they throw that screen now? There's like 5 guys around him every single time. It just doesn't. You can't do the same thing over and over in this league and expect that same result. Eventually, the rest of the league catches up to what you're doing. They understand what this scheme is. So it's like, now you got to zig when everybody's zagged. So,
and the way to beat that, I think, is you either need to have a dynamic quarterback or a dynamic play caller. And we know we don't got a dynamic quarterback, and Kyle is supposed to be a dynamic play caller, but it's looking pretty kind of stale. It's looking repetitive. It's not looking creative, other than like the previous week where, like, first McCaffrey big game, where we just ran everything through McCaffrey. If we need to do that again just to get everything else open, then let's do it. I'm all for it. We've traded a lot for this guy. Like, let's, if the other guys need to take a back seat for the McCaffrey show, I'm all for it. But like,
I'll buy tickets.
Let's put up points though. Like, if whatever it takes to put up points, that's what I want. I want to score touchdowns.
Yeah, we need touchdowns, no more field goals. Like, let's punch it in the end zone.
This coming week, Mexico City. We are the away team. We're playing the Cardinals. How are we feeling about the team traveling to Mexico City this week?
I'm feeling pretty pumped about it. I don't know. Have you been watching Hard Knocks?
I have not.
Did you watch the first episode? So the first episode, they were kind of in shambles. Like, and it doesn't, like, even though Kyler Murray was healthy, they didn't show a lot of Kyler Murray. Like, the main star was actually Budda Baker. Budda Baker, I believe he's out with an ankle injury. He got hurt in that first episode. I don't know if it's going to carry on to this week, but they did say he was going to miss multiple weeks. So their main stay is gone. Colt McCoy went in there and did a serviceable job, but Colt McCoy's banged up too. So now it's Trace McSorley.
Right now, Kyler Murray hurt with the hamstring injury. Colt McCoy has a knee injury. And Cliff Kingsbury said he will announce later in the week who will be the starter for this game.
So they're banged up at quarterback. I feel like this is a team that just needs a. You ever see like when you're playing Jenga and you know it's gonna fall over, it just needs that, like, you're the last one and you got to pull it and you already know it's gonna fall. Like, I think that's what's going on with the Arizona Cardinals this season, at least. It just feels like everybody is kind of waiting for like this ball to drop to just start like unleashing on each other. DeAndre Hopkins already was yelling at Kyler Murray. Cliff the whole week had been preaching, we need to do this together. Everything needs to be together. And it just didn't work out. Like, even after he was like, we shot ourselves in the foot. When our offense is up, our defense is down. When our defense is down, our offense is up. Our teams is doing this and that. So like, this is not a team that is like conjoined at all, and I feel pretty good about us going on and embarrassing them on a national stage.
Yeah, I love your Jenga metaphor. I think it's definitely, this could be a game where, because the Cardinals have had the upper hand against the 49ers, let's be honest.
Yeah.
This could be a game where it flips their season around and they beat us and they kind of gel as a team, like they overcome everything. But it feels like so much going against them to where it does feel like this is like the last blow the house down.
Yeah.
It's all gonna fall apart. And they even cut, Benjamin.
Yes.
Like, what's going on with that? He was good for them. I haven't really looked into like the reasons, but we wouldn't expect a guy mid-season that was like essentially starting for them for a while.
He was at least a like touchdown, like he was a red zone target, and he was getting the touchdown like red zone touches. So it's weird to see him cut this late in the season.
And then Zach Ertz done for the year. DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray are not getting along. Rondale Moore has actually been a bright spot for them recently. Shout out to my fantasy team. He's on there. He's actually doing really good for me.
JJ Watt died.
JJ Watt died for them on the field.
At the hospital,
at the hospital. But yeah, it is like this question of, we hear about Kyler Murray not being a leader. They're actually not in a terrible spot, like win-loss wise, but it feels like they're in the Rams position. Like it feels like they're out of it. Because no matter what the Rams do at this point, it's like a miracle for them to come back and make playoffs. But it doesn't feel like, it shouldn't feel that way for the Cardinals. They have this game and then another game against us. They win a couple more. They're in.
Yeah.
But it feels like everything is falling apart for them.
Yeah, and I think they already had that mentality because Cliff Kingsbury did put it in their head, like, hey, so we have a 3-game stint. If we win the next 2 games, we're going to be playing San Francisco for the number 1 spot. And what did they do? They went out there and they lost that first game, and it felt like, well, this is it, phone it in. Like, what are we going to do now? You know?
Yeah, and I guess if you look at it this season too, like all their swings have been misses. Like the Robbie Anderson trade, I made fun of that trade day one. The second happened, go check the tapes. He has not done anything for this team. And DeAndre Hopkins coming back, I mean, it hasn't really changed anything. If anything, it's made a little bit more toxic environment because him and Kyler Murray are clashing so much. The defense hasn't looked great. Cliff Kingsbury hasn't looked great. And like, speaking of missed swings, they re-signed Cliff Kingsbury before this season.
Yep.
So, do they ride with him next year? Like,
they have to. I mean,
it's a different situation than the Raiders because I think they got the money to like just cut ties with him. But
I think too, like where the disconnect is because like in that Hard Knocks, Budda Baker was the life of that locker room, and now that he's gone, it's like, okay, well, shouldn't that life come from the highest paid player, and the highest paid player being Kyler Murray? And I know that's like been the knock on him the entire time, like, hey, I'm not a rah leadership type of dude, like, but when you're paid franchise money, you need to be the franchise guy. With being the franchise guy, it means rallying people. Even if he wasn't playing against the Rams, it's like he just sat there and looked like sour-faced the entire time. It's like, bro, Kyler, do you even like playing football? Like, come on, dude. Like, do you like being on this team? Because if you don't, like, we can do something about this.
He's giving me real Ben Simmons vibes.
Yeah.
Like, where is your level of commitment to this team or even to playing this sport? Because, yeah, you're getting mad when we're losing and, like, arguing on the sideline, like, yeah, showing intensity, but like, where is that drive to improve the situation? You can get upset and irritated and yell at each other, but you need to also fix those problems with that intensity. Like Draymond Green.
Yeah.
He yells at everyone and he gets on everyone's case, but he's doing it in a way that's like, listen, you're doing this wrong. And I'm trying to let you know that I care enough and we need to fix this.
Mm-hmm.
And the next game, even if they get into it, like they're cohesive.
Yeah.
This feels like they have not been like, I feel like at the end of the day, they clock out. Kyler Murray goes home and doesn't talk to anyone.
Yep.
Like, I don't know who he's boys with. Like, is he going to Phoenix Suns games with his receivers like Jimmy goes to games with Warriors?
I don't know. I don't think so. But yeah, I think all this to say, like, this is a big stage for a get-right game. And I really hope the 49ers do capitalize on this. It just seems like the Cardinals team is kind of on the brink of being in shambles. And so it's like, this is your perfect opportunity to smash them, get right, and let's keep those momentum rolling for, the rest of the second half of the season.
Yeah, if Kyler wants to be on the level of Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, he's over here getting beat by Geno Smith.
Hey, Geno's look good, dude.
Geno's look good. Look at the pay difference. Yeah. In those quarterbacks. And if you're like, oh, like if you could go out there and win with Geno Smith type money and Taylor Heineke money, why did we ever pay you, Kyler? Like, are you studying game tape during the week, playing too much video games?
I don't know.
He needs one of the coaches living with him and checking, hey, 9:00, you need to put the video game down.
He's like, hey, who did that? They were saying someone Was it Saquon?
They signed up for Xbox just to see who was on.
He bought an Xbox and he bought a PlayStation, and he logs in at night to see who's on, and then he texts them to get off.
I don't know if that was a real tweet, but because Twitter, like there was
It was a tweet. I seen it during the they said mentioned it during the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cause I'll say Twitter, there was a week there. I don't know if you guys are on Twitter, but follow us on Twitter. We didn't pay for a blue check mark, but I promise you we're at the Deep Dig Pod on Twitter.
We're valid.
That is us. And there was a week on Twitter there where you didn't know what was real or who was who. There was Doja Cat was Christmas for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, follow us on Twitter. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe this video. Is that what we had for today?
I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Look out for our diamond pick of the week on Saturday. We're gonna be making another pick this week. Make you some more money. Make us more money. Yeah, send this to more 49ers people, guys.
Yeah, we're so fucking close.
We're
to
so
100.
close to
So close to 100.
We appreciate it.
Yo, come on.
And shout out to everyone who's been subscribed for months. We appreciate it, guys. That's it.
Later.
Bye.